Hi, everybody. Why don't
Hello.
look crooked on the camera? Ryan just said, why are you so crooked? I'm like, we're not crooked. I'm not crooked on the camera.
All right, where's our better together sign?
Hi, everybody. Oh, I forgot to put it up. Don't worry. We're better together.
We totally are.
So, hi, everybody. I
Hello.
know it's getting ready to be a big holiday week.
It's Christmas Eve, Christmas Eve.
Yes, those of you that celebrate Hanukkah, happy Hanukkah.
Hey, Brent.
Those of you that, hey, Brent.
What's up, Brent?
Those of you that celebrate Christmas, it's coming up quick. Ryan's actually getting his wisdom teeth taken out tomorrow, you guys.
Yes, I am.
So, send him over some prayers.
So we celebrated Christmas last night.
Yeah, or maybe
And a little
should,
tonight.
maybe they should pray for me.
Totally pray for Blair because I'm the biggest baby on the face of the earth. So there's
Should
no
be
doubt.
interesting.
I will be ringing a bell, maybe.
There's
Should
no
we have
bell.
a
No,
And I won't be able to whistle because my face will be up so swollen.
that's amazing. Hi,
I know.
Andrea.
Hey,
All right,
Andrea.
well, welcome. Tonight we're going to be talking with you guys all about reflecting,
Yes.
right? How to go back and reflect, like how was our marriages last year, this last decade, because boom, a decade's about to end. A whole new year's about to begin, and it's really exciting, but quite often you hear people talking a lot about goals. Like, what are your new goals? Maybe from one goal to the next, but they don't ever take time to stop and reflect. And we're not just talking about like going through and like, oh, this didn't work, we thought we were going to do this and that didn't happen. We're not talking about negative. We're talking about also the positive, like what worked well, what didn't, where did I crush it? Where did I fall through the cracks? What worked? What did I, follow through with? What are some things we'd like to see changed? And I'm not just in your own personal life and not just in your marriage, but in all
I think
aspects.
with everything, because personally for me, I've learned way more from my failures than I have my successes, right? So when you do something really well and you have success, it's kind of just difficult to, hello from Oregon. You just want to keep it going, right? So like it's easier to keep the success going as long as you keep doing it. But when you massively fail, if you take the time to go back and like what really went wrong here and ask yourself some of our favorite questions like what could this have meant? What could I do different? How did this benefit me? Like how did that failure really benefit me? Well, it made you stronger, right? Because you just keep on going. You learn. That's one. Hopefully it's one less mistake that you'll make in the future, and so you just keep going.
So true. So as you're reflecting, we're going to be giving you guys some great tips this week, and we'll end tonight kind of giving you a little taste of that. But every single day this week on Marriage Movement, you'll see a different post that will coordinate with these. So what we want you to do first is take the time to reflect. Ryan's going to talk about a few things that he learned from 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. But when I say reflection, it means you got to take some time on your own, right? So we're going to ask you, and we'll remind you guys that it's to commit every day to 22 minutes. And then after you've reflected...
22 minutes?
Yeah, that's what
I love it.
I don't know why you picked 22 minutes.
They put it in, I don't know, some random
It's hilarious.
number.
Oh,
my goodness. Guys, that would have been so funny. She literally almost slid out of her chair.
my chair to move it.
I'm
Anyways,
so glad that was live.
that was hilarious. So, as you're reflecting for 22 minutes, then you want to take whatever came up, whatever you journaled, whatever you wrote about, whatever came to your mind, and that evening, if you can, you want to make sure, hi Marcia and Bruce, that you go back and you talk about it with your spouse. Conversation starters 101, right? It's really important to go back and reflect. And one of the things that I want to encourage you to do is like not just how's our relationship, how are those things going, but money, time. How'd you guys do, in your businesses? How'd you guys do with talking? How'd you guys do with spending time together? What about the other family members? Like, there's so many different things. So I'm going to let you kind of talk about the 4 dimensions of renewal with everybody.
Okay, so if you've read the book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, by Stephen Covey, then you know the 4 dimensions of renewal. So first it's physical, then mental, then social or emotional, and then spiritual. So when I read this and I was going through it, I kind of like how he broke it up into different categories because very rarely is everybody hitting on all cylinders, right? It's usually like you're doing one area really well because you're focusing on it and everything's going great, but then you look at the other level and it's like, wow, I need to kind of, pick up the slack there. So first, physical, it counts your exercise, your nutrition, and then also a big part of it is stress management.
Yeah.
So how are you dealing with the stress in your life? We all have it. It all happens. So are you taking time to meditate, to pray, to do breathing exercises, to read something inspirational? Like how are you dealing with the stress in your life and letting your body kind of recover from the day. You have anything to add to that? Was that it?
I just yawned. That was hilarious.
My
Sorry.
Goodness. Am I boring you
No,
already?
it's just sitting still is hard for me. So yeah, no, I don't have anything to add to that. I mean, really, the point is that I like the point that you made, which is like when we're doing really well in one area, sometimes the other area isn't going as great. And I'm sure you guys can relate. Can you think of a time where your business was exploding, but maybe your marriage wasn't where you wanted it to be, or your relationships with other people, or you weren't working out as much as you normally did because you were really killing it in this one area? So like balance is what people are always looking for, right? But it's almost like a myth.
Okay, so I don't like the word balance.
Me either.
Because to me, balance, you're just kind of like getting by, right? I like, figuring out, and we'll go into this next week. I'm so excited, goals. So what is the most important goal for you in each area of your life? And then we'll pick 2 or 3 things, and then you'll go into those and focus on those. But anyway, back to the reflecting. So mental, so first is physical, which is the exercise, nutrition, and stress management. Second is the mental, so reading. So in inspirational reading, I start my day reading the Bible, but it can be anything inspirational to get your mind going in the right direction. Visualizing, what do I want? What does it look like? What does it sound like? Is it a house? Is it a vacation? Is it, for me, golf clubs or something like that.
Or a certain amount in your bank account. Like visualization is huge. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen people talking nonstop about vision boards as we get close to ending a year and starting a new year. Yeah. But that's because visualization is strong. I mean, your subconscious believes what you tell it every day.
Right, absolutely. So mental is reading, visualizing, planning, and then writing. And so the planning is, it's kind of easy. I think visualizing and the reading, but the writing for some of us, especially me, is it's just non-existent almost. Right. So I would encourage you to do that if you're not doing that. Social and emotional. So this is pretty interesting because he talks about how do you serve other people. He talks about empathy and synergy. He means synergy in relationships. So the synergy he's talking about is not a win where someone wins and loses. It's not a compromise, and it's definitely not a loss for you and a win for somebody else. By synergy, he means, are your relationships win-win? So do you take the time and have the communication skills or the relationship set up where you can have win-win? And especially in marriage, that is a massive goal, and it's attainable. And then intrinsic security is just a big word for self-confidence, right? So the social and emotional is service, serving other people, volunteering. Empathy, do you empathize with those, around you and what they're going through? Synergy, how are your relationships? Can they be win-win? Intrinsic security, self-confidence. When you look in the mirror, what do you see, basically? And then the last is spiritual. So spiritual, for me is Bible, church, praying, value, clarification, and commitment are the words that he used. So by spiritual, what are your values? And are you clear on what is important to you? Are you clear on what you value? And then a commitment to those values. Then the next thing is, what do you study and meditate on? So if it's not religion, then is it self-help? Like, what is it, as long as it is something?
Awesome. So I feel like with all of those, it's important as a married couple to ask each other those kind of questions. Totally. Like, how are you doing in each one of these categories, right? So often we want to hide from each other, but in order to have a truly authentic marriage, you have to be vulnerable and you have to be honest and open with each other. So we're going to challenge you this week. We're going to ask you guys daily questions during this week that are going to help you. And we want you to set aside 22 minutes to take some time to do that writing or to take notes in your phone or wherever you are and really take quiet time and write it down. And then we want you to discuss these topics with your spouse, okay? So it could even just take a couple minutes a day for you guys to talk about it together.
So we're going to address one category at a time? right? So first we're going to talk about mental, and we're going to reflect on how did we do mentally.
So like
This past
Monday,
year.
yep, Monday will be about
Mental Monday. I love
Mental
it.
Monday. We'll give you guys something to think about, and then a conversation starter for you and your spouse. Tuesday is going to be all about physical, reflecting on your physical being over this last year. Yep.
Not that kind of
And then we'll give you a conversation starter for you and your spouse, as well as Thursday is social and emotional, and checking in on that. Friday is spiritual, and then on Saturday will be kind of like a makeup day for you to just drop anything that you want to. We have a couple questions in there as well.
Or in case you missed a day, you can
Yeah.
go back and do it. I call it a makeup day. It's like
Yeah.
a makeup test day if you're sick.
I love it. So that's basically what we're doing. So here's what I want to challenge you to do. Not only take the time for yourself to reflect, but also take that time on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. We're not asking on Wednesday. We know a lot of you guys will have parties, things to go to. But take that time for that conversation starter, because so often people are talking in their marriages this time of year about what do we want to do next year? What are our goals for next year? What are we going to do about this? And instead of taking the time to stop and reflect and discuss these really important things about, like, how am I doing mentally? How am I doing physically? How am I doing, how has this last decade gone
Right.
in those areas?
And I would say, so like reflecting back, just very quickly with Blair and I, there have been certain times during this year where we each have thrived and got massive momentum going in one of these categories. And it's almost like we were kind of alternating. I was thinking about that this morning. So just imagine if you're, as a couple, you're both thriving in the momentum that you could get if you're both focusing on the same things. Plus, there's so much power in just the connection of taking time so that you're always sharing what's going on in each other's lives. I think that's the main thing, is to do this together.
Yep, absolutely.
Because we know that
we know that you guys are better
together.
We
got to do that again. Are
Yeah.
we really ending? Are we over? Is it
Yeah,
over? Okay.
it's over.
So Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas. Bye, guys.
Bye. Will we see them next year? 2020?
No,
We
we'll
have
see you
one
next
more.
Sunday.
All right,
We'll see
one
you
more.
for next year.
One more. Bye.